Both, I'm Watanabe Shinji, Kudo Daido Shihan, and also the range of Yuigaryu Karate. Today's theme is Get Power by Naihanchi. Actually, this content is already uploaded, but that was a Japanese version, and I have often been asked by non-English speakers to add the subtitles, but it was difficult, so I have remade it in English and added those this time. At the end of the video, I added a part that was not in the previous video, so I hope that also those who have already seen the Japanese version are welcome to watch it again until the end. Oath. Now, before I get down to the topic, let me start by introducing myself for the first time in a while, since some of you may be watching my videos for the first time. I'm 59 years old and still a Kudo competitor, and not in the senior division, but in the adult division. I'm always fighting against opponents who are as old as a right son, sometimes even a right grandson. My most recent fight is uploaded here. Needless to say, Kudo competitions are very intense. So many people ask me, how can I fight such a young fighter at your age? The answer is kata. Yes, karate kata. Kudo Daido Juku does not have a karate kata training system, but I personally studied kata, practiced kata, and finally became able to fight using kata movements. That is the secret of my still being able to fight at the age of 59. But when I say I can fight using kata movements, many people wonder, what kind of bunkai do you use to fight? But that's not a good idea. The proper purpose of practicing kata is to learn how to operate your body for fighting. The movement of kata look very unnatural and irrational at first glance, but in reality, they are very rational, albeit unnatural. And if you can learn to do those unnatural movements naturally, you will have the power, speed, and stamina you need to fight, independent of your youth and physical strength. Today's theme is Get Power by Naihanchi. Let's look at the mechanics of Naihanchi's powerful Tsuki. Oath. Now, first, look at the Naihanchi I'm doing. This is an older method than Naihanchi as it is commonly practiced today. Naihanchi. The characteristics are as follows. The toes are facing forward. The knees are slightly outwards. And the part from the belly down is hardly moving. Only the chest up, head and arms are moving. That's the kata like that. But as you know, there is another Naihanchi as well. It's like this, with the toes and knees facing inward, and the movement of the hips is transmitted to the arms. This is a new way of Naihanchi modified by Ito's uncle, and this is rather the majority nowadays. However, I do not use this method. I will explain why later. So, the general way of punching is like this. Power is generated by body rotation, especially the hips, which is then transferred to the fist. Some schools use hikite to help body rotation, or twist the body twice while breathing with the hips. This is the new Naihanchi I mentioned earlier, right? But in any case, it is the same method in the sense that the power is generated by body rotation and transmitted to the fist. On the other hand, the classic Naihanchi I'm doing is like this. Do not use your lower body. Do not rotate your body, especially hips, and move only your arms. And then bring your body to the point. Now, let's try punching in this way. How about it? Let's try again. You know which one is more powerful, right? Maybe you may wonder, but this is not a trick. It's just simple physics. Impact force is the product of weight and speed. How much does something weigh, and how fast does it hit? That determines the magnitude of the impact force. In the general way of punching, the body is the locomotive, and the arms are the passenger car. First, the locomotive pushes the passenger car. Then the locomotive stops halfway, and only the passenger car runs and flies. On the other hand, the classic Naihanchi method is the arms as locomotive and the body as the passenger car. First, the locomotive runs. Then the locomotive pulls the passenger car, and both the locomotive and the passenger car flies. Naturally, you can see that the impact force is higher at this. Can't you? Also, how was it? This general way of punching is very instinctive and natural. When you want big power, you use big muscles. This is very instinctive and natural. But classic Naihanchi teaches us not to do it. If you want big power, use small muscles, not big muscles. This is a very unnatural way to go against your instincts. But classic Naihanchi is saying you should master this unnatural movement because it was more rational. And if you can do this unnatural movement naturally, you can get a very powerful punch. Yes, that is kata. That's all for now. But here's an additional explanation. This is the bonus part of those of you who watched the video this time. Awesome. The important part of Naihanchi's Tsuki, or rather the old karate movement, is that you should not rotate your body, especially your hips, while doing the Tsuki. And that you should do it by using the COZ of the arms and moving the COZ of your entire body. In Naihanchi, you tsuki sideways, but this is also true when you tsuki forward. In old karate, even when you tsuki forward, you only use the COZ of your arms and do not turn your body, especially your hips. The kata teaches us not to do this. Shall I demonstrate a little? Point the toes of the back leg forward like this. The hand opposite to the tsukite should remain here. If you do tsuki like this, you can hardly use your body's rotational force. Now, let's try tsuki in this form. What do you think? It may look very unnatural, but can you see how powerful it is? This is the tsuki in the kata called Tomari-seisan. At this time, if the toes of the back leg are pointed forward from the side, while bring this arm, the body rotational force will be used to strike. This is an instinctive and natural way to do it, but unfortunately, it loses tsuki power. Therefore, in the original Shurite and Tomarite, Sensei taught Naihanchi first. At the time, he taught them not to use the body rotational force to strike by teaching them not to break the standing posture with both knees stretched outward. If you turn your body, your knees go inward and your standing posture collapses, doesn't it? But Ito's uncle, who studied Nahate too, changed all of Naihanchi's movements and learning system. That's all for now. How was the content of this video? If you found it interesting and informative, please like it and subscribe to the channel. Then, see you again.